Hello there, Commonwealth Ron here. The Nintendo Switch Pro seems to be dead, just like the NX, and turned out to be the Nintendo Switch OLED model, a nearly exclusively undocked upgrade with some enhancements to the docked experience thanks to the new dock, but definitely not upscaled 4K DLSS 2.0. As such, in this video we will focus on the new Switch model that is coming out on October 8 and on how different this new $349 OLED model is from the now base model Nintendo Switch. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more Nintendo Switch OLED model and Nintendo Switch videos, and also to get us to 300,000 subscribers so that we can give away one of these Nintendo Switch OLED models. But now, let's get this Nintendo Switch OLED versus Nintendo Switch comparison started. The biggest difference between the Switch OLED and the Switch Basic lies in the name of the new model itself, a Samsung 7-inch 720p OLED display compared to the 6.2-inch Switch 720p LCD display. The OLED name sounds very much like a TV name, so some may criticize it for being named the way it is, because the Switch Lite was Switch Lite, and it makes sense, while the OLED is just describing the screen itself and not all the other upgrades that we'll soon get back to. But the OLED display itself is already in production at Samsung and will make it possible for Nintendo to release this new model this October. Despite the same 720p resolution as the Nintendo Switch Basic, the OLED display on the Nintendo Switch OLED grants far more detailed, color-vibrant images along with greater image density. In other words, a proper display upgrade despite the same resolution, which alone is a solid reason why there's a $50 difference in price between the two models and a $150 difference to the undockable Nintendo Switch Lite. Specifically, since this new display is actually a Retina display, which the LCD display wasn't. Well, that and a number of other upgrades to the system and the new dock. But for now, let's stay with the system itself and its external upgrades, specifically its dimensions. Since compared to the Nintendo Switch, the Switch OLED model, despite its 7-inch screen, is only 0.1 inches longer than the base model in total, 9.5 inches versus 9.4 inches with Switch Joy-Cons attached. What it might impact though is what base model Nintendo Switch accessories will fit with the OLED model. This seems to be one advantage for the regular Nintendo Switch model over the OLED model. Or does it? Since the Nintendo UK website says that the size of the Nintendo Switch OLED model with Joy-Cons attached is the same as the regular Nintendo Switch, 102mm by 239mm and 13.9mm thick, with Joy-Cons attached, so one of them, either the American or the British, has to be wrong. I think the British is correct, the American is wrong, but we'll have to see. As for weight, the Switch OLED is a little heavier with its 0.93 lbs or 420 grams with Joy-Cons attached than the base model Nintendo Switch 0.88 lbs or 400 grams. This means a 0.05 lbs or 22 gram difference, which is not too much between the two. Next, we have the audio upgrade, with a new audio chip which will grant us a superior audio experience on the Switch OLED model when played undocked compared to the regular Nintendo Switch undocked, which might be the preferred way to play, as the new wide adjustable stand on the OLED model marks a day and night difference from the Nintendo Switch kickstand, completely removing the need to purchase a charging stand, much also thanks to that the Nintendo Switch OLED model has the same great battery life as the 2019 Nintendo Switch. Yes, it has a different battery model number, HEG001 compared to 2019 Switch HAC00101, but the same battery life as previously mentioned on both. From 4.5 hours of play, that being 5.5 hours when playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, and most likely its sequel, to 9 hours of battery life when barely turned on, with approximately 3 hours of waiting time to fully charge up both of the Switch models in sleep mode. It also goes without saying, but both have obviously the same USB-C type outlet. Nevertheless, the big change is found inside the Switch OLED from the Switch, and that goes for its storage without any microSD card. 64GB of save space on the Nintendo Switch OLED model compared to the Nintendo Switch 32GB. That is the double number of gigabytes compared to the Nintendo Switch. Another argument along with the superior OLED display if you're considering one over the other to spend the extra $50 for a more superior product. Even so, the long-awaited Joy-Con driftless upgrade doesn't seem to be the case yet, as this is just another model using the same Joy-Cons, only the first white Joy-Cons, which I know Erika, Desmond Amofa, would have loved.
A white Joy-Con? Baby, this is that Pablo Escobar Joy-Con right there. God damn, that's a hit! I probably have earned the title Joy-Con boy Master or something, I don't know.
Rest in peace, friends. But yes, if you want to play with the Zelda Master Sword and Hylian Shield Joy-Cons on both the regular Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch OLED model, then you can do that no problem. And that covers it for the comparison of the system itself on the outside, and mostly with the exception of storage undocked upgrades. Luckily, we have a new dock, so you get more in your docked experience than just double the internal storage. The new Nintendo Switch OLED model dock features a far less bulky design compared to the Nintendo Switch 2017 and 2019 dock, and will hopefully not scratch the display now that it is in OLED. Until we have the new model and dock in our hands in October, it is impossible to tell if this issue has been resolved, so we'll just have to wait and see. Luckily, this dock also comes with something that has been lacking for all online players out there: a LAN port. At last. No more LAN adapters, as after 15 years of waiting, Nintendo finally added a LAN port, which hopefully will result in more stable online matches, until you realize that most people have the regular Switch dock with no built-in LAN port. But other than that, the new OLED dock features the same USB port, though located on the outside of the covered section, power port and HDMI output, meaning that no upscaled 4K is happening and no Nvidia DLSS 2.0 upscaling technology. The reason for this is that the Nintendo Switch OLED model has the same Nvidia custom Tegra processor found in the 2019 Nintendo Switch update, meaning no resolutions beyond 1080p and still framerate issues in 900p and even 720p for some truly demanding open world titles like the upcoming Zelda, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Splatoon 3 and eventually Metroid Prime 4 and other unannounced titles. So likely there will be no difference on the TV when playing Breath of the Wild sequel docked between the Switch OLED model and the Switch Basic. And yes, this is a disappointment, seeing that Breath of the Wild struggled to maintain 30 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch when running at 900p. Seeing that this problem will likely continue on the OLED model when docked is heartbreaking, but that is the thing. This is an undocked upgrade from the Nintendo Switch, but when you switch to play in docked mode on the TV, the difference will be minimal with still 1080p at best and 60 frames per second only on some select titles. Just like with the regular Switch, expect 30 frames per second to remain the norm for open world Nintendo titles forward. And in some cases it might even go below that, which is sad if we will experience the same technical issues with the sequel in 2022 as we did with Breath of the Wild in 2017. That is unless Nintendo is hiding away a Pro model for later, but I don't believe in a TV resolution and framerate upgrade anymore. The reason being that Nintendo has once again shown that they reveal new Switch hardware models every 2 years. 2017, 2019, and now 2021 with the Nintendo Switch OLED model, the third and possibly final member of the Switch family of systems, launching Friday, October 8th for $350 and turns the family into a Triforce. But instead of launching day and date with a Zelda game, it is launching the same date as Metroid Dread. So buy Metroid Dread to show that Metroid sales are not dead. Speaking of the new Nintendo Switch OLED model, we are pushing for 300,000 subscribers. And you know why? Because as soon as we reach this goal, hopefully long before October 8th, we will give away a Nintendo Switch OLED model as promised back in April, but now also with Metroid Dread for a total value of over $400 US. So be sure to subscribe to Commonwealth Realm. Leave a like on this video and comment below if you will be buying the Nintendo Switch OLED model or sticking to your current Nintendo Switch until we say get a Zelda OLED bundle in 2022. Finally, a big thanks goes to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons, and in particular to our royal producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.